Hey, hello out there. I I've thought about this topic quite a bit, and it seems now it's more pertinent, I guess, than ever because it's on the topic of loneliness, and I think of it as a matter of loneliness versus aloneness. So they're they're both similar things, but they have different meanings applied to them and different experiences applied to them and feelings applied to them. And I was thinking that, we're forced into this forced aloneness, which people are experiencing as deep loneliness. And people are sort of at a loss because most of us are accustomed to having connection through our work, cafes, restaurants, gyms, concerts, bars, clubs, etc. And we find, the comfort of other people is so comforting. Very few of us have spent a long amounts of time just sitting in aloneness. Most people can't tolerate aloneness because the quietude of aloneness is a place where we are alone with our thoughts. And there's a lot to process when we're alone with our thoughts. And a lot of things come up for us. I personally started working on the notion, I'm going to call it the notion of aloneness and loneliness a long, long time ago. And I remember distinctly having these feelings of deep loneliness when I wasn't with groups of people, or I wasn't constantly interacting with people, or being, having phone calls or texts or invitations to events. I felt this deep suffering, actually. It was a very profound suffering. And, I work with a lot of people now that describe to me these same feelings of this unbearable feelings of desire to be around others. And I think the cause of it is a couple things that we really need to sit with and look at and be comfortable with. And I think what it happens is, in our aloneness, we have time to contemplate so much. And a lot of us feel the feelings of fear and lack. And that's what we're trying to not feel when we're with others. That's really the essential nature of being alone in the realm of feeling the feelings of loneliness. So I remember one distinct time where, oh my gosh, I guess I'm going to tell you a personal story, but I had not made plans for a weekend. And I kind of, applied the meaning to these, events of not having plans for a weekend as a failure, and as there was something very frightening about it. And I applied other meanings to it too. And the other meanings were, no one likes you. You're weird. You're a loser. Whatever words you want to apply to it. If I didn't have a long strand of invitations from which to select, and I caught myself on a Friday night, 7 o'clock at night, having no one, to connect with because other people had already made plans. And also, I was coming from a realm of fear and lack. And whenever you're focused on fear or lack, you create more of that. But I realized it was such a profound lesson. And what I did instead was, for the very first time, instead of trying to dull down the sensations and not look at it and resist it, have a drink, go to a bar, have, some strong, shot of Jack Daniel's beer chaser or whatever. I just sat in a parking lot and I started thinking and allowing the thoughts to come through. And the thoughts again were, you don't have any friends. Okay. And then I sat with that thought. I breathed into it. I relaxed my shoulders, and I just allowed that thought to be a thought. And I thought to myself, is it true? And I realized, no, it in fact wasn't true, that I actually had a very extensive group of contacts, from which I had not reached out in a significant amount of time, and that many people had been reaching out to me, and I either didn't respond or declined. And I had, a contact list of thousands of people, that, that I could contact, get together with, but I didn't want to. And that the truth of the matter is that I didn't want to commit to getting together with these people. I just didn't. And so the truth wasn't that I didn't have any friends. It was that I had chosen not to commit, and I didn't want to. And that was the first piece of knowledge that I came up with. Then after that, it was, you're weird, you're a loser. Okay. So I sat with those things, relaxed shoulders, take some deep breaths. And I thought on the notion of weirdness, I'm like, it's an interesting thing as you get to know yourself, you're more comfortable with yourself. You start to realize that the word weird has a negative connotation to it, right? It means not acceptable. You're not in the gang. You're not in the group. You're not in Gryffindor. So it's got a negative connotation. But the truth of the matter is, we all are unique, weird, and we all try to cover it up because we don't want to be put into that box, that labeled of being extricated from the group. And that's what being weird will do. So we've been very fearful, even though some people go like, oh, I love weird, the truth is, like the song, I'm a freak, I'm a weirdo. That's such a beautiful song. And Jason Silva just did a absolutely gorgeous video about that song, is that we're all so fearful of that. And the truth of the matter is, we're all weirdos, we're all freaks, we're all those things, if you want to put that label on it. But the fact of the matter is, we're all divine, we're all unique, we're all amazing. And so the weird negative connotation is self-criticism. It's the inner critic. It's disempowering, it's unloving, it's uncompassionate, and it doesn't really need to have a place in your soul, in your heart. It's non-truth. Okay, so if you want to apply a great meaning to it, then there's truth to that. So I sat with those and I released those things. And loser, interesting commentary is, we all we all have these bouts where we're so fearful of being a loser that we fight so hard to be so beautiful and successful and strong and powerful and accomplished, so that we can get as far away as possible from these identifications with these things, such as a failure or a loser or weird. The truth of the matter is, you're not a loser. We all are having experiences, and many of the experiences don't create the results that we wanted initially to create. That doesn't make it a loss. It doesn't make it a failure in the way that we define failure, as something permanent, something negative. It's actually an experience, is what it is. These are experiences that grow us, that strengthen us, that beautify us, that specialize us. This is what failure and losing is. These are experiences that create more empowerment, more kindness, more compassion, more awareness, more strength, more inspiration. So the notion of being a loser from the negative standpoint, from the realm of fear and lack, is again, it's the pain body that Eckhart Tolle talks about. It's an actual type of an entity. It's the inner critic. It's self deprecation. It's negative. It's an old paradigm that may have been preconditioned by our family of origin, that was generational. Time to break the cycle. So when you sit and you allow the feelings of loneliness to come in, and you realize that once you release all of that energy and the thoughts that go with it, of, let's say, the meanings that I just applied, that I previously had applied to it, I got liberated. I was so free. And I realized that the truth of the matter is, I loved the freedom of being alone. I love the power of being alone. And that I actually, if I could really see how awesome I was, there was like, I really enjoyed my own company, like massively enjoy my own company. Even allowing yourself to see how great you are, to see how beautiful you are, to see how talented you are, see how funny you are, how quirky you are, how compassionate, how giving and generous you are. These are all things that are there inside you. You just have to align with them and know them. They're there, and it's okay to speak on them to yourself and to enjoy them. And sometimes I just look at the things that I've collected, the books that I've collected, like different types of perfumes and scents that I've collected, artwork I've collected, friends that I've connected with. And I start to get so excited about the uniqueness of myself. And I found so many things there's so many things that I want to learn and to explore and to do. And I can fill up my entire day after day after day with just doing these things. And then my focus now, instead of putting a salve from the outside on this hole that can never be filled from out there, it can only be filled from the inside, from what I already am, from source, and from my own spirit, my own uniqueness. That sounds, I can't find better words to describe it, but when that happens, you're free. And then what happens is loneliness becomes aloneness, where you can thrive and you can learn about yourself and really feel like the deepest sense of unconditional love for yourself and reverence. So those are the thoughts I was having today on loneliness versus aloneness. And I really would love for you to comment in my DMs on Instagram at Allison Angeles, or on the YouTube comment box, and send me a message. And love to hear from you. And I really want you to practice some of the things that I'm talking about. Instead of numbing your pain when you're feeling discomfort, numbing it with whatever you numb with, sit with it, relax your body, allow it to come through, and just allow it to feel it. And then ask yourself, is this true? And I want to tell you one last thing. Really, the real truth is not uncomfortable. It's always empowering, and it's in the realm of love, and it feels good. If you feel discomfort in something that you're thinking, it's incongruent, okay? It's non-truth. And you have to have awareness about that and let it go. And then let the real truth come in. Now, if there's something that you need to do work on, heal, achieve. For example, I always use this as an example, like you're constantly chronically late and it's hurting other people and it's hurting yourself, which it usually does, both. This is a truth that will come to you that will not be scary. It will not feel bad. You'll actually be excited because now you're excited because you can grow and change and make and empower yourself by making that choice to in that moment to no longer be in that same paradigm that creates suffering. So the truth will always feel empowering, and it will always feel good. So that's how you know the difference when you're sitting with something. If you allow the feelings to come in, um, allow the truth to come in, you don't have to be afraid of it. And then now you've pushed through and you've gone to the next level. I'm Allison Angeles. Thank you for listening.